Hey boys and girls, it's 4th grade Mrs. Meredith, and this book is called Ordinary Mary's Extraordinary Deed, and I wanted to share it with you today. It was written by Emily Pearson, illustrated by Fumi Kasaka. Ordinary Mary was so very ordinary that you'd never guess she could change the world, but guess what? This ordinary kid, she did. She changed the world. Ordinary. One ordinary day. Can you see that? One ordinary day, skipping on her way from her ordinary school to her ordinary house, she passed an ordinary vacant lot, filled with ordinary bushes and growing very ordinary berries. Ordinary blue, juicy, luscious berries. Just ordinary blueberries. Wow. Mary saw the blueberries. And ordinary Mary picked the ordinary blueberries and brought them in a big brown bowl to Mrs. Bishop's front porch. What? Left berries in a big brown bowl on Mrs. Bishop's porch? That sneaky kid. She sure did. You see her carrying the berries? Well, this made Mrs. Bishop very happy. Haha, get it? Very happy. So she baked a big batch of blueberry muffins and thought of 5 people who might have brought those beautiful berries. She didn't know for sure. And then she secretly gave those 5 very special people each a plate of blueberry muffins. How great! 5 people got a plate. One of those 5 people was her paper boy, Billy Parker. And when Billy saw his name on a note in the driveway on a plate, he quickly parked his bike and ate every crumb. Oh, yum, 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 he ate every crumb, and then this made him so glad that the next 5 people got their papers on their porch, and not just thrown in the bushes where he often would throw them. In fact, they were handed right to those 5 people. Well, one of those 5 people that received the muffins was Mr. Morey, who was so amazed that he smiled for 10 hours on the airplane and then said to 5 different people who had heavy bags, "Here, let me help you with that." He still smiled, and they did too. Well, one of those 5 people was Mario, whose cranky little boy, James, stopped crying when Mr. Morey played a peekaboo game with him, until the ride had come. And when he waved goodbye, Mario exclaimed, "How strange that a stranger could be so kind." And the next day, when he was out shopping, once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, he did something nice for 5 different people, 5 times, without stopping. Now remember, this is all started because of Ordinary Mary. One of those 5 people was Joseph. Old and bent and gray, in front of him, in line at the produce stand. And when he said, "I guess I counted wrong. I didn't really need these oranges," little James reached out to him with an orange from their basket, and Mario put a coin in Joseph's hand and said, "Here, take this. These oranges are on us." As Joseph shuffled to the bus, his heart was full, his eyes were wet, and his hands did helpful things for the next 5 people he met. What do you think it means that his eyes were wet? You're right. He had tears in his eyes. He was so touched that someone bought those oranges for him when he ran out of money. One of those 5 people was Sahar, a college girl who was off to see the world and who stopped at Joseph's shop. And when her bag broke and her things fell all over the floor, she said, "Oh, what will I do?" Joseph said, "Here, this is for you." And he gave her a new bag, woven with his own hands in red and purple and green. "Oh, thank you," she said. "It's the loveliest bag I've ever seen." And when Sahar left, she felt sunny, just as sunny as noon, and she just had to shine on 5 people soon. What do you think it meant that she just had to shine on 5 people soon? Maybe smile at them or do something special for them? I don't know. One of those 5 people was Sophia, whom she met on a boat, looking like the world might end, looking like someone was sad and didn't have a friend. "What beautiful blue eyes you have," Sahar said, "and they're just the color of the flowers in your lovely dress." "Yes?" said Sophia. "Oh, yes," said Sahar. The beautiful blue eyes shed a happy tear, and when the boat trip was through, Sophia called 5 people to make them happy, because she was happy. One of those 5 people was Tom, her son, the doctor, who was having a very hard day. "Hi," she said. "I love you, Tom." "Well, how great to hear your voice," he sighed. I always need my mom." Dr. Tom was so cheered up that on his next break he bought a big bunch of bright balloons for 5 young patients, and he handed them out right then and there. So here's Sophia looking so sad, and Sahar spoke to her about her eyes and her dress. And so then Sophia calls her son the doctor, who has now bought balloons to give to some children that are patients. One of those 5 was Peter, a little boy who went home from the hospital that very day, grateful for the big bunch of bright balloons that filled him and thrilled him and spilled him into feeling so happy. And so on to the next 5 people who came his way. He shared. One of those 5 was Eric, a teenage boy whose sacks were such that they were way too heavy and too much. When one dropped on the sidewalk, Peter stopped his play, rushed over and said, "Super Wheels to the rescue." Well, Eric was no longer stressed and very impressed, and he made a mental note that very afternoon he would help 5 people, and he would do it soon. So here we are. We have Peter, who received some balloons from the doctor, and he decided to share his happiness with other people. And so he saw this boy, Eric, a teenager Eric, who was carrying all these bags, and it was just too heavy. And Eric dropped one. And Peter said, "Super Wheels to the rescue." And Eric couldn't believe it, so Eric decided to help 5 people. Let's see what Eric does. Well, one of those 5 people was Di, his 10-year-old sister, who didn't have many friends and was very shy. When Eric said, "Hey, sis, want to come to the park and learn how to ride my skateboard?" She looked at him wide-eyed. "Are you serious?" she asked. "Sure," he said. And because of her brother, Di decided that maybe she could be a friend, or try to be anyway, to 5 other people. One of those 5 was Louise. Louise was a homeless woman who lived under the trees, and she could hardly believe her ears when she heard Di say, "Hey, may my brother and I buy you a hot dog and a drink at the stand over there?" Could it be true? Someone actually cared? They cared enough to give her food and a smiley face ring that was practically brand new? Louise was so pleased that she decided that even though she had had nothing to eat, she would find 5 others and give them something or some part of herself. One of those 5 people was Amara, who lost her wallet in the park. Louise found it. It was full of 5s and 10s and 20s, plenty of money. Oh, what she could do with all that money, but she found Amara's name, and she called her home, and over Amara came. Amara was so impressed that Louise was honest and didn't bother anything in the wallet. And when the money was something she clearly needed, Amara decided she would offer a job in her store to Louise, and she vowed to do something generous for 5 more people. One of the 5 was Kate, a woman on vacation who wanted to see a show she'd heard was such a sensation. "Oh no, it's sold out, and I'm going home tomorrow," and her face filled with such sorrow. Amara held out a ticket. "Here, you can have mine. I live here. I can go any time." Kate loved the show and was so touched that the stranger had given her a ticket that she bought 5 presents for 5 people back home, and it would be really fun. One of those 5 presents was a little heart necklace for Mary, her niece, and you should have seen her eyes light up in surprise. Mary? What? Ordinary Mary? Yeah. Yes, certainly, Ordinary Mary. Ordinary Mary's extraordinary deed had come full circle, and on its way it had changed the lives of every person living. You see, when Mrs. Bishop made muffins from Mary's blueberries, not only the paper boy Billy Parker, but the 4 other people too, made 5 people smile, and those 5 made more smile, and 5 more made 5 more smile, and within 16 days, love was sent to every person, everywhere. Just see how it went. So here's a math problem. One person did something nice for 5 people, and those 5 each did something nice for 5 more, and then by 5 more, and then 5 more, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. That's a really big number. 30,517,578,125. Well, it actually was probably more than that. 30 billion is way more than all of the people on the planet. So after everyone had a share and everybody knew that somebody cared, they even had love left over. The world was changed, and thousands and millions and billions agreed that it was all because of one ordinary Mary, on one ordinary day, doing a perfectly ordinary, stunningly, earth-shatteringly, totally, extraordinarily good deed. And that is the end of Ordinary Mary's Extraordinary Deed. I hope you'll look at that book. I hope you'll find 5 people to do some sort of special thing for, even if it's a smile or maybe a phone call. Think about that. Think about that. And I hope that you'll do those 5 good deeds very soon. Bye.